Hello and welcome back to On the Workbench. Today we're taking a look at the back S4S rolling hardtop tonneau cover for a, you guessed it, 2024 Ford Ranger Raptor. So this comes in a box that's about 6 feet tall, maybe just a little bit less, weighs just under 100 pounds, and at least for me it was delivered via FedEx, and I picked this up from Napa.com, not sponsored. I found a discount code on the Napa site, so that saved me about 25 bucks, give or take. And had it delivered. It took about a week to get here, and it was shipped from Springfield, Missouri. And so now the first thing we're going to need to do is undo these straps and double check that everything was just fine from shipping through the FedEx system. Snip. 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 And snip. And you can see there's an arrow pointing up on one end. So hopefully I got this right. Open here. I think we got this right. So the arrow does go up. On one end here, it looks like we have some empty cardboard spacers. So we'll take those out. And then the other end, looks like these rails shouldn't have been all the way down there. We've got some weather stripping here at this end, it looks like. And somewhere in here, I presume there should be some instructions. Also on top appear to be either the front rail or the back rail. That appears to likely be the back. And then this should be the two sides. And then we have the roll-up cover right here. All right, so now with the yellow bag, let's go ahead and double check what all is in here. I think there's actually going to be more than weather stripping. All right, we've got some rubber stops. I believe this is so when you roll it up, it does not touch your rear glass on your cab. We got our roll-up straps. Here's the instructions. Weather stripping. And then now we've got our hardware. And there should be one more hardware packet here. This one, and looks like a couple parts may have spilled out in the bag here. Double check your bag. I had two washers that flew the coop and were at the bottom of the yellow bag that I presume go in the Ziploc bag. The other one here is shrink wrapped together. Looks like you get about 3 of these on each side to attach the side rail. But that's what our instruction sheets are for, so I'll go through the instruction sheet here, and this one does say Ford Ranger 2024 Plus, which I thought was nice because I was having some trouble being one of the first people to get the Ranger Raptor to make sure that I get something that will fit it. And so we're off to a good start. I think the fact that this is clearly for the 2024 Ford Ranger. My understanding is the bed on the Raptor and the regular Ranger is the same, minus some of the body flares on the outside, but the inside is the same. Don't know if that's true. That's just what I've kind of picked up on in various conversations with folks. And so now this is where the money hits the road. Let's see if that is true or not. The tools that you're going to need today to install this tonneau cover are going to be relatively simple. A little surprised some of these aren't included with the kit for 1,200 bucks, or at least a basic version of it. So the first thing you're going to need is a Torx 30T30 driver or key. They make really cheap versions of this, so I thought, you know, in a hardware pouch, that would probably cost you, what, a few cents if you imported those. Then you need a 10mm wrench. Of course you need a 10mm wrench. Who doesn't need one of those? And then you need some form of a trim tool to be able to pop out some plastic rivets, or perhaps you could use a pair of pliers as well, or a flat-bladed screwdriver. And if you're really inclined, you might want to add a flashlight of some sort to help you see underneath it while you're installing it. And now the next step is going to be to look right here back behind the cab. There is a rail that we're going to need to be able to put our weather stripping on, make sure that is dry and clean. And there is this pouch here. Obviously, you're going to be working in the bed of your truck to do that, and you're going to want a pair of scissors. And you're going to want to run that strip from edge to edge right along your truck bed. On this lip here, there's a couple little holes in here that are intended for mounting other accessories for your bed. If you were to put a hard top on the back or something else. We're not doing that today. We're going to put this weather stripping on there, and we're going to unroll it and stick it down. With the weather stripping out of the package, you can see there's this red side that goes down that's got the cover we have to remove, but there's a flat side and a curved side. We're going to want this flat side to go towards the rear of the truck. So we have a nice flush seal with this rail into the back. And then you might have to stretch this a bit to make sure you get it from edge to edge. And it should fit almost perfectly with no cutting involved. I'm rather impressed with that. I thought I was going to have to cut this a little bit to make it work. But it really is for the 2024 Ford Ranger as advertised. You're going to make this as flush as you can to the front edge of this truck, or the front edge of the box. This should be really the back edge of the box, if you will. There we go. That's in place. So now the next step, there's these little pins that hold this top trim down in place. There's one in the front that's going to get removed, the one in the rear. Then right here in the middle, there's a pair of these right together. And we're going to remove the one that is closest to the cab. And we're going to do this on both sides. And we're going to remove, so I'm going to use the snap-on trim tool to do this. You can use other tools to do this here. And this should just pop right out. And as long as you keep this on, you shouldn't actually need to reuse these. And they may get damaged in the process of pulling them out, as you can see that one did. I think there's probably a standard Ford part number for that. And we'll get the one in the middle. Like that. And then we have one on the end. And now lather, rinse, and repeat on the other side. Do the same mirror image one here on the other side. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take 3 of these blocks. They came in a 6-pack of these, and we're going to have to remove the hex nut from the back. So we can spin this off, and then these bolts are going to end up going through those holes that we just removed those plastic pins from. And we're going to separate these. Keep yourself organized, where you've got your bolt, your nut, and your bracket. We're going to do this for one side on camera, but it's really going to have to be done on both sides, obviously, for your truck bed. There we go. I've got one side all set up there. And now I'm going to take my rail. These are marked, one side of mine was marked left, and so I'm going to set this. Right here is the seal. You can see there. Set this rail in. This little metal silver bracket here comes all the way up against that. And I'm going to drop that down. Coming back around, I've already raised up the tailgate here just to make sure this fits right. We're going to push this up against the side. The brackets are going to square it up. And this is going to become the edge of our tonneau cover. There's a nice little rubber gasket under there that should seal up nicely against this nice plastic bed lip here. And then we're going to come back and use those holes underneath here with those brackets and the screws to be able to hold this in place. We're going to use a T30 Torx and a 10 millimeter. Obviously, it's got to be a 10 millimeter, right? So now hopefully you can see that we've got the hole right here. I'm going to take this little clamp here, and this is going to go under here like this. And I'm going to feed my bolt through, so I'm going to just bring it straight up so the little angled side goes towards the center of the bed. And I'll push this nut through, just like that. And I'll put my 10 millimeter bolt on the back side. I'm going to put these on loose first before I come back and snug them up. Just enough to make sure I've got them in place and to hold. There we go, there's one. Now I've got the two sides over there to have to do. We'll do the rear. Should be just as quick. Once I feel like it's square, use my Torx driver here to begin to tighten this down. I can put the 10mm on the back side, and it's going to be a process to work this back and forth to get this nice and snug and tight and square. Working along the entire length of the bed. So I'm going to keep working myself back and forth. By the book, this should be 8 foot-pounds. I can probably get that we'll say close enough by hand. You're going to want to make sure in the process that you check that this is all nice and flat with the plastic cover here on the outside of your bed when you're tightening everything down, and that this is nicely up against, and that the rear end here is nicely up against the back end of the truck there. You may have to slide it back and forth just a bit to get a nice good fit. Because checking for clearance here at the rear end, double check this. I might move mine forward just a touch, but I'm still able to clear, and then I can still open my tailgate. So this might be one time where you want to actually shut yourself in the bed of your truck while working on this. And once you're satisfied that you've got one side, move on and lather, rinse, and repeat for the opposite side. Just a quick aside, looking at the driver's side rail, at least on mine, it came with the letter L on it, and a little sticker on it that identifies it as the left side, easily removed. There was no similar sticker for me that would have had the letter R for right or passenger side. Obviously your mileage may vary, but this is what I found on the one that I purchased. So we'll set that aside. So now we've got both rails mounted, you can see on the left and on the right, with both of those mounted firmly into place. And with the ability that we've double checked that we can close our tailgate without crashing into the rails there. Pay attention to the edges there. It'd be nice if this were rounded over just a bit more. It is a little bit sharper than I would like. Maybe clean that up with a file, then touch it up with a little bit of matte black paint. Your mileage may vary. Now, we can go back to the big box, and we're going to get out the tonneau cover and set it on those rails, and it's supposed to be set from the rear and then unroll back toward the cab. I don't know if I'm going to be able to have all this on camera here, so I'm going to undo this here and set it down, and let's see what we get. All right, you can see I've got this sort of across the bed there. And now I'm going to unroll this back towards the cab. Obviously some alignment to work out. And cardboard to remove. Interesting, looks like the clip on the right side here just popped off. I hope this is just cosmetic and I can put it back on. Let's look closely here at the detail here. So this back metal slip here needs to go right into those little drop joints right there on both sides. There's a pull cord here that we can use to manually release the cover to be able to roll it up. So that would be the rear position. Now we're going to double check with our tailgate going up that this is now over the rear end of the tailgate. You can see this is over the back. Could you get water to go back through here? Yes, obviously you could, but this will get at least probably most of it sealed up. It'd be nice if this were just a little bit lower, but maybe with some time it'll stretch down and sit a little bit tighter. I suppose you could add some weather stripping to that gap to close that up if you were of a particular interest for that. Coming up to the other end, this is where we need to make sure that we've got a good seal at this end. Because then at this end, we're going to have to be able to use these holes that are in here and these T-tracks with the bolts. Be able to line that up right here to be able to have this all sealed up. And so between this rubber flap right here and that weather stripping we put down in the first step, that should, in theory, once this is all tightened down, all seal right up. So now let's go back to our parts bag and find those bolts to be able to get those lined up there. So then now with the tonneau cover locked in the rear, so I know that this is in the right spot at this end here, I'm just going to unroll this back like this. Let me move the camera here so maybe you can see a little bit better. I'm going to take these nuts here and slide it into the track. Like that. 1. And 2, on this side, you're going to do both sides at the same time. There's going to be a little bit of trial and error to line it up with the grooves here for that to be able to fit in correctly. Once you've got all 4 bolts in, that means 2 on each side, we're going to have to come back around to the rear of the truck. We're going to drop the tailgate. We're going to pull the latch to release our tonneau cover, and then we're going to roll this up. So we're going to put the weight of this tonneau cover here. That's interesting. These little things here have popped out now several times. I'm a little disappointed by that. I don't want things breaking on my brand new tonneau cover. Yeah, that's not making me happy. We'll see about that. Maybe that's just a one-time thing here as we're getting this together. Hopefully not. Sorry, hopefully that is the case. Then now with the weight up there, and those bolts underneath, we're going to have to use the T-nuts to come underneath and to be able to secure that down and tighten that end to hold the cab end of the tonneau cover in place. All right, so now we're in the bed of the pickup truck here. Tonneau cover rolled up onto the bolts by the cab. We're going to take one of these large fender washers and the thumb wheel. We're going to put it on and then hand tighten this up here to hold the cab end of this in place. You can obviously come back and make some adjustments to this later. All right, once you get that in place on one side, lather, rinse, and repeat on the other side. So now we're in the home stretch. We got the tonneau cover rolled up here back towards the cab, but there's a couple of things and final details to finish this off. First of all, we need a way to secure this in a rolled up position. Luckily, they gave us some straps to do that. So that's going to be our next order of business. If we look at the strap, it's got kind of a T-end on it, and the T-end is going to go over the top, right down to the slats, turn it sideways, rotate it 90 degrees, and this will wrap over the tonneau cover here. And then we're going to go down into the bed. My gut instinct was to mount this underneath to those T-bolts down there that we had put on earlier. But according to the instructions, it actually mounts right here to the edge of the bed. We're going to have to undo that using our T30 torque screwdriver. And there was a couple extra washers that came with this. So we're going to use that to be able to secure this right down here. And we're going to do that on both sides. So now here's the bracket, the way that it came off. And you'll note if you pull this out, you'll notice there is a washer already on the bolt. But there was also another washer that was included with this. Hopefully you can see this. Maybe my lighting is not great. We're going to have to re-sandwich the bolt here, putting the large washer on the outside, the bolt through the grommet, then the grommet back through the bracket, and we'll put the sandwich back into the slot here, push it through, something like this, and then get that 10mm bolt on the other side. Use that T30 Torx. And now you can see I got the strap going through to that bolt. We're going to do the same thing over here on the other side. And then when we're done, we're going to come through here and pull up the strap here. Then we can cinch this up so it's nice and secure. Obviously, we can uncinch it later, but this will provide a nice secure holding for our tonneau cover. So now with the strap secured here on the left, and a similar strap here on the right in place on both sides, our tonneau cover should be held in place if we're going to go driving down the road and held up. However, there is a chance that the tonneau cover could roll into that rear glass, and we definitely don't want any scratches on our glass. So they gave us some extra pads that we're going to need to install to finish this up. 2 on each side, 2 on the driver's side, 2 on the passenger side. So we're going to have to estimate about where would this come in contact with the glass if this were to roll forward. Obviously, the momentum, whenever you stop or accelerate, could cause this to shift. We want to protect that glass. That's really expensive. So we've got these parts that look like this. Obviously, these are going to be peel and stick. Now, to help me estimate about where these guides need to go, I've removed the security strap so I can kind of roll this forward in a controlled manner to see about where would that first contact point be with the rear glass. And then I can place one of these into the flats of the panel. They'll secure about like this. It's about the perfect width to sit in there. Pull off the adhesive, that should secure into place. And then do that on a couple of these spots here so you've got some nice padding. Give it a couple little quick test fits. Control yourself here on one side to make sure you get the line up right. And then you should be good to go. Pretty quick and easy. So here's how this looks on mine. I tried to also attempt to give it a little more slack in the unroll instead of unrolling it so tight to see where that would change, where it would hit. And I came up with these 2 locations. Obviously, your mileage may vary based on your specific configuration for how you align this tonneau cover in your truck. All in all, this process takes maybe about an hour, give or take, to get everything put together and squared away. And then you should be good to go. And now for the final finished big reveal. I've taken the straps and kind of tied them around the hooks inside the bed just to keep those from rattling around while I'm driving. Now with the liner unhooked, all I have to do is roll this back and pop that down on both sides. There is the issue that I'm having with these side pieces. Let me go around the other side here. Popping off, snaps down, looks great. But really, I paid like $1,200 to have these little cheap plastic pieces just pop right off. Like this one, it looks like there's a little post that might have broken shipping. And then you've got this damaged edge, which might be fine, that should pop into place. If we look at the other side over here, see there's that little post right there. This, in theory, should sit in here like this and snap and hold itself into place. But right out of the box, it's not doing that. So I'm definitely disappointed. Now, these other wrinkles here on the side, I think once this heats up, that'll be fine. I'm not worried about that. What bothers me are these little plastic pieces here at the end that finish it off and give it a nice, clean, finished look. But as of right now, if I drive 10 feet down the road, those are just going to fly off. And with those off, let's look at the other side here. The security feature of this almost goes out the door because you could then jam your pry bar right down here and try to loosen this if you lock your tailgate. I mean, maybe it's still fine, but it kind of annoys me, to be honest with you, that I paid $1,200 to have these little cheap, flimsy plastic pieces, and why is that not a more finished piece than something that just breaks right off? So I think I'm going to contact customer service and see if they can do something for me about that. And then the other final detail that I suppose if I wanted to go and get some weather stripping from a door section at a home store, I could get a piece of weather stripping to go underneath here on the backside of the tailgate, because there is a little recess right here on the Ranger gate here. Obviously it would interfere with this clamp slot here, but that could go there to be able to create a tighter seal. I don't think that would be that hard to do. That wasn't included with the kit. I'm not expecting everything with the kit. And the other shortcoming with this, I think on this end here, should be filed down or have an end cap there. So that's not quite as sharp of an edge. To have just that clean, perfectly finished look that, again, if you're paying $1,200, I have some high expectations for this. I like the look of this being hard and all the way across the top. It still rolls up, gives me the best of both worlds of a roll-up tonneau cover and a hard tonneau cover all in one. That's why I went with this. That's why I spent the extra dollars to get something that I thought was a premium product. So I'm hopeful this will hold up here. I'll provide an update when I hear more about these little pieces here. I suppose worst case is I get out some super glue or something else to be able to affix these in a more secure way, because I'm honestly I'm not convinced that this wouldn't still pop out on the other side with a brand new piece, that it's going to need some adhesive to hold it down, to have that look just right on the truck. So if you get any experience with this X4S cover, go ahead and put in the comments down below. The very last thing you need to do after you get this installed is pull out the install manual. There's a QR code you can go to, or backindustries.com/warranty to register your tonneau cover. But before you throw out the cardboard box, save one of the ends because your serial number is located on that. Cut that out, save it, and put it with this card here. It is interesting to point out here, let me see if I can get a little closer, that there seems to be a typo here. Revolver X2 has 5 parentheses 3-year warranty. X4S has 3 parentheses 5-year warranty from the original date of purchase, subject to the terms. I think it's really 3 years for the X2 and 5 for the X4. And I think it's a typo here, but again, these are the little details that, in my opinion, go a long way to tell me that this is a finished product. Just like those little detail caps on the end that are popping off already.
So I ended up contacting the manufacturer of the bed cover here, and they sent me this envelope. Came pretty quick within 2-3 days of me calling. So let's take a look and see what they sent to be able to address the issue with the bed. All right, let's go ahead and pull this out here of the envelope here. Nice packages here. Lots of pieces here. I'd be curious to see what we've got. Looks like they sent some left side and right side of these finishing caps for the bed. In this case here, I only particularly need the one for the rear passenger side of the vehicle. You can see where there is the cap and a couple other accessories there that were found in the package with it. Lay it out here. We got 2 for each side. Really nice touch. I found the customer service to be very agreeable. Never told them I'm a YouTuber because I think that's just kind of not really fair. Wanted to get the normal experience. And so, yeah, they sent me this. I'm very happy that they were able to quickly address the problem here and send me some extra parts. I think I'll keep the extras of these in my glove box for down the road because I don't know when I'll need them. And, well, that seems like the obvious place to keep them to keep the truck looking nice. So, all right, so here's the one that we need for the right or the passenger side corner. Just some really basic instructions here on it. This is just going to end up snapping into place. Same thing is true with the mirror opposite for the other side. They're just shaped just a little bit differently here for how they line up with the aesthetic. Open the Ziploc bag that they came in. Take out the parts. Don't need that piece today. All we really need is this piece right here. And so we see that. Now let's go to the truck and put it on.
And now with the corner cap, I am going to line this up so there's the peg and the clips line up with the circular and the square holes. If you can see right there, the peg is going to go through the circular hole. Line that up right here on the side. Don't know how well you will see this on camera. and it should snap right down into place, just like that. Really quick install. And now before we wrap up this video, I think we're probably gonna give this a car wash test to double check the fitment on this and to see how much water intrusion you do get. Obviously a car wash will be a worst case scenario compared to a rainstorm. Now I do have to say I wish these caps or a few extra did come in the package. I think that would just help the long-term care for this tonneau cover, as well as having these parts readily available with the part number on the website. You just saw the part numbers there for left and right if you need to be able to reach out to them specifically about replacement corner caps. All right, now we just got out of the car wash. Let's come around back and see how we did. I'm gonna roll back the tonneau cover here. And let's take a look. Well, we got water all over the place. There's a lot of water in the back. I suspect some of that is from a missing seal or a gap here. It seems like there should be like a little plug on this side of this latch here. Just my opinion, to help seal up this rear end a little bit. And I bet that would have kept a lot of the water out right there. But obviously a car wash is going to be a worst case scenario for a tonneau cover bed test. All that water will dry out just fine. I'm not worried about that. But just more curious about the rain and water intrusion and how well this tonneau cover seals up your bed. So I hope you found this video useful and interesting. Questions or comments, put it down below. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day. Bye.